Okay, so let's talk about chucks and odd-shaped pots. So this is a sort of rounded pot that I made. It was part of a blooper video, which I'm not going to show you because it's all wonky, but that's irrelevant. But I thought this is a great opportunity to talk about chucks. Now, I could go ahead and put this directly on here and try and trim it. The problem with that is that I'm going to hold that in tight, but those lugs of clay are not really going to be tall enough to support this. Chuck is also more sort of relevant for long neck bottles or things that just will be the least like a cylinder. So why do we use chucks? We want to create this into a cylinder. Sorry, I thought somebody walked in. So this is a chuck. There are several different shapes of chuck. That's funny. It could be sort of hourglass-ish or round like this. What you're looking for in your community studio for a good chuck is something that has a rounded edge. This way you don't have it pointy here, and in case your pot's a little wet, it won't make a dent. We're also looking for something that's relatively round. If it's a little oval, that's not going to help you. We also want something that holds the shoulder. So a lot of people think that if they had a bottle shaped like this, they want something that just sort of holds this, but that's not going to make it into a cylinder. We want something that actually sits on the shoulder, or the shoulder sits on it so that it's closer to a cylinder. So something like this would work, or I can sort of just place that right in there. Now, we can't just go ahead and start this. We need to make sure that this is level so that we are trimming it correctly as if it's flat on the bat. So we've got our little level here, there's mini levels. There's also a wonderful level app on your phone. So look for that. So first we want to go horizontal, or sort of going across this way. And then we want to turn it this way because you want it to be level all the way across. And then because you played with it that way, you're going to have to go back to this way, play a little bit. Now, this really only works if your pot is, sort of level on its shoulder. I'm going to be honest with you, this one is not. I think on Instagram I'll put up a fast forward of me messing this up completely. But somehow I saved it a little. And again, you can't tell a pot's really wonky unless it's moving. And it's not really moving. So there we go. Now we are level. So now what's the next thing we want to do? We want to center this entire pot. We want to acknowledge the fact that this is what we're working on, but this now is part of the pot. So we don't want to center this first and then put it in because your pot may not be round. So we want to treat this whole thing like a giant kind of closed to cylinder. So I'm going to use those circles, and if you have a really clean bottom on your chuck, then it's round. Now again, when this starts moving, I know that it's wonky. So, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and center the way I normally do, draw my little circle on top. And then I'm going to move it. This actually isn't so bad considering. But again, I don't know what it looks like from the side. I don't know. So now I've got it pretty centered. I'm going to go in with one more circle. I'll do another video. Now that I have this ability to do it from the top, I'll do another one with trimming in a foot in a bit. Now that it's relatively centered, I have a couple of choices. Now, I know that this is sitting on here pretty strongly and pretty sturdily, or I don't even know if I'm looking for the right, it's stable. That's the word I'm looking for. And I know that this is really heavy. So do I have to stick it down with clay? I personally don't. When I trim, I tend to push down really hard on my top. And this is like a 4-pound pot, 5-pound pot. This is like 3 pounds of plaster of Bisqueware. I know it's pretty strong. But you do have the ability now to put some clay lugs on here. And depending on the shape here, you can put some clay lugs here. Now, note, probably should have told you this before. I often recommend that you soak your chuck for about 5 minutes before you do this, because this chuck is Bisqueware and it is super thirsty. So when you attach that clay, it starts drinking the clay from those lugs. It's going to loosen up really quick. But if you've already fed it some water, it won't be as thirsty, and these things will stick a lot better. Some people also will choose to put some clay underneath here. Again, if this is round and it's holding on really well, I don't think it's necessary. So what I'll start to do is take my trimming tools. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna do a full trimming here. I just want to kind of show you how we get this done. And if you notice, I'm pushing down pretty hard on the top. You can't tell, but my knuckles are are white. I'm white knuckling it, and I'm able to really sort of, with stability, have this wheel go my desired speed. Now there's also those little round things. I think I might put in my bio a link to I have an Amazon store with my recommended tools. There's a spinny thing that you could put up here if it bothers you. So then I'll go ahead and I'll start to trim it. Again, I am not gonna be able to take this off and look at it and put it back on. You will never get it centered again. But what this does is it creates a really stable situation. Whereas if it was sitting on the bottleneck or on that really narrow neck, you'd have a little bit of a problem. So that's using a chuck, and you could do a couple of things. You can use your community chucks. You can look for a bucket that fits. I personally, when I have several bottles, I will make my own chuck. I'll make something, I'll heat it up, I'll go ahead and trim that bottle, and then I'll see if it works with the next one, and then I'll go ahead and change the shape. But that's for another video. So there it is. There's the chuck. There's the odd shaped pot, and I'm gonna trim. See you next time, guys.